Okay, let's try this again. Let me double check something. So I'm gonna test. Okay, that one, not that one. No more countdown. All right, testing. Hello, testing. My mic not working now. Testing. Okay, I can hear myself. All right. I don't know. I must have hit the wrong button. Okay. Well, let's try this again. This is Connie. It's Tuesday, the 27th, and I'm back again going over the Catoosa Unified Development Code, which you can find on the cityofcatoosa.org website under the Plan Catoosa graphic under the news section. And if you want to follow along, you can click on the Catoosa draft code for public comment link, and it takes you to the PDF. And then if you have any comments or questions for the city, you can click on this link, and it takes you to a comment thing. And down here is the information for Jody King, the email and phone number for the Catoosa Director of Community Development. There have been 2 open houses, which are both passed, and they will. It says the public comment period will remain open until February 2nd. So, got another week or so. Well, I don't even I don't even know what day the 2nd is. Besides being Groundhog Day. Okay. Let's get to the map. This is the incog map prepared back in 2000. Come on, zoom in. 2001. I guess this says 2001. But they've taken the comprehensive plan and laid over this map. So this is the 2025 comprehensive plan, which the Unified Development Code is in, goes hand in hand with the comprehensive plan. And if you'd like to read the comprehensive plan, it is also on the cityofcatoosa.org website. And this Unified Development Code is a zoning code. I'm all flustered now that I've had to start over. Okay. As I was saying before I messed up my life, I'm reading through the comprehensive plan, not the comprehensive. I've already read through the comprehensive plan in part 1. If you'd like to go back and watch that video, it's on YouTube. And I need to link those before they start. It's still in the group. If you click on my face in the group, it'll show you all the things I've posted, and you should see all the videos. And you can scroll back and find part 1 to see where I went over the comprehensive plan. I didn't read it word for word, but I went over it and I explained some of it. I explained some of it. And this Unified Development Code is zoning. Basically, they're taking their old zoning and they're re-documenting it into a new form and supposedly making it more streamlined and simple. I never seen the old zoning codes or anything. I wouldn't mind having a copy so I could compare. But they have the color-coded areas of the town and what their purpose or use will be. So yellow represents residential, red represents office or commercial, gray is industrial, blue's public use and quasi-public, recreation and open spaces in green, agriculture is in white, which that doesn't, the school's not in there. And then like it gives you intensity levels of, so the gray over here is medium and high intensity industrial area. So the hashes and the dots all represent types of those districts. So down here for Little Rolling Hills, we got our residential yellow, and it's considered low intensity. But we have a high intensity office commercial area with a little bit of industrial. The orange is special districts, which includes along Cherokee and 66. And some stuff over here. The city of Catoosa lies within the boundaries. The fence line is color-coded in where is it at? Material collector. Oh, city limits is in blue with 2 dashes. County lines in pink. It even goes over the floodplains and does some contouring, so that's the map there. Anyway, so this is what this Unified Development Code is supposed to outline: what can be built, where, what types of things can be built, residential, commercial, or industrial, and what these uses, what their projected uses will be in the future. Okay, so let me go back over to, alright, so that's a rundown, and I said before, my opinion's my opinion. I'm just reading along so I can understand it better, and I upload these live on CC and then I post them on YouTube later. So you can actually go to YouTube and fast forward. Like, if I'm just droning on, you can skip it, or you can listen to me at, 1.5 speed or 2 speed or whatever. When we ended, we were going over screening. All the requirements for things that need to be covered up. Like if you have a storage yard, it has to be screened from public sight. If you're along a road or pedestrian, whatever. So it's going over. Sorry, I get really yawny. Let me adjust my stuff here. Okay, so 133. I will start here with, let's get back a little bit. So it's giving you options for screening and landscaping. This is in where you have to screen, what you have to screen, how tall the screens have to be, um, what kind of material the screens have to be created from, if landscaping can be considered a screen. Um, so I think I read through some of this. And you can go back, and the screening is around the 130, 132 area of the PDF. Okay. This is residential stuff. So, let's see. It says landscape edge. All landscaping and screening walls provided to meet subdivision screening requirements shall be located within a private non-buildable lot. I think I read this. Located between the city's right-of-way line to the nearest residential property line within the subdivision, with the exception of cul-de-sac bulbs, where the required ornamental fence shall be located entirely upon the cul-de-sac lots abutting to the adjacent street. Second. I'll double check. I'm always checking. I want to make sure that I can be heard, that I'm being loud enough. Okay. Screening walls, fence perimeters, all required screening walls and fence shall be maintained by the HOA. A minimum of 5 feet wide wall maintenance easement dedicated to the HOA shall be provided on all lots abutting required screening along the full length of the required screening wall or fence unless separated by an alley. Trees and shrub screens. All required screening trees and shrubs shall be planted within the landscape edge except for as provided by cul-de-sac bulbs. All trees required for screening shall be of evergreen, drought-tolerant species selected from the city's approved plant list. So the city has an approved plant list now. Have they always had an approved plant list? I'm learning about this. In the appendices of this ordinance. Oh, okay, so we're going to be finding out about the approved plant list in the appendices. Okay. And shall be subject to approval by the administrator. Minimum tree size shall be at least 4 caliper inches, and a single species of tree shall not exceed 45% of the plantings for all screening options. All trees shall be planted a minimum of 4 feet from easements, curbs, utility lines, screening walls, fences, sidewalks, and alleys as determined by administrator. Solid shrub screens. A. For solid shrub screens, evergreen shrubs from the city's approved plant list in the appendices of this ordinance shall be used that are low maintenance, drought tolerant, and insect and disease resistant. Shrubs shall be placed such that they will provide a solid and unbroken minimum 6 foot tall and 2 feet wide screen upon planting. Cul-de-sac bulbs. For all cul-de-sac bulbs that are abut or open onto an adjacent street, the following additional screening standards shall apply. All required trees and other landscape materials shall be located within the side yards of the cul-de-sac lots abutting the adjacent street and within a landscape easement of an adequate width unless a landscape edge dedicated to and maintained by the HOA is provided. Trees required for screening do not count toward the number of trees required for residential lots in this section of the ordinance. Trees required for screening do not count toward the number of trees required for a residential lot. So does that mean that they're going to tell us there has to be trees in your lot. Okay, a minimum of 10-foot separation or the required landscape edge width, whichever is greater, shall be provided between the right-of-way of the cul-de-sac and the right-of-way for the adjacent street. A sidewalk shall be provided to connect the sidewalk along the adjacent street or the sidewalk along the cul-de-sac within a 15-foot pedestrian access easement. Berms. Berms may be used in conjunction with any screening option subject to approval by the administrator. Berms shall be placed within the landscape edge on private property, example, not within a public right-of-way, shall not exceed a 3-to-1 slope, and shall be designed such that they do not hinder maintenance, storm drainage, accessibility, or visibility. Topographic information for berms shall be shown on the landscape plan and on the grading and drainage plans for the development. Wall elevations and living screens. The minimum height of required walls and fences shall be measured from the nearest alley edge, rear lot property line where no alley exists, or street sidewalk grade, whichever is higher. The maximum height of columns, including capstones, shall be 9 feet. If the top of wall elevation for a required screening wall is less than 6 feet as measured in accordance with this section, a solid irrigated living screen shall be used in combination with the screening wall to provide the necessary screening at the appropriate height from grade. An irrigated living screen consisting of large evergreen trees, a minimum height of 6 feet at time of planting, and additional large evergreen shrubs, a minimum of 7 gallon, and to be capable of attaining 6 feet in height in 2 growing seasons that are appropriate for screening purposes. For screening purposes. Let me blow it up. I always forget to do that. That way it's easier to read through the screen. Alright, let me start that sentence over. An irrigated living screen consisting of large evergreen trees, an additional large evergreen shrubs, and be capable of attaining 6 feet in height, 2 growing seasons that are appropriate for screening purposes, selected from the city's approved plant list, shall be planted with the landscape edge where the height deficiency occurs. All plant materials used for living screens shall be insect and disease resistant, shall be plant species that are well freeze hardy, low maintenance, well adapted to the north central Texas area, and drought tolerant, such as they are self-sustaining with minimal irrigation and care. Well, this is interesting. So, is this like a plug-and-play unified development code? Since this says north central Texas and not northeastern Oklahoma. What page is this? 136. So that, I wonder how comparable Texas zoning statutes are to Oklahoma zoning statutes. Are they similar? Page 136. I'm going to make a note of that in my iPad. Real quick. Create a new note here. Page. Come on, work with me. Page 136. All plant Okay. When an irrigated living screen is utilized, the landscape plan shall demonstrate adequate visual screening at the heights required and within required timeframes. Irrigation requirements. An automatic underground irrigation system shall provide 100% coverage for all living screens and plantings and shall conform with the following. So, required trees, required irrigation, and they get to dictate where it all goes and how it goes. Line placement. Irrigation lines shall be placed a minimum of 2 1/2 feet from the sidewalk. The main irrigation lines, section lines, and zone valves for irrigation systems shall be placed outside of required right-of-way corner clips. Type of irrigation. Trees, shrubs shall be irrigated by deep watering bubbler irrigation lines only on a separate line or zone for targeted irrigation during periods of drought. Other landscaping may be irrigated per the irrigation standards in this article of the ordinance. One second. Wait a second. Did I do that wrong? I'm just going to keep going. If I have to share it, I'll have to share it. I don't think I'm live. Dang it. I don't think I went live in the group, did I? Thought I did. I don't see myself in the group, although maybe it's just something weird. Oh well. I'm just going to keep going. And then I will share it to the group. Alright. Where was I? Oh, I know what I can do. 1 second. Distribution. Let me look. Probably won't let me do a whole lot on live, will it? There it goes. No, I'm just doing... I'll check it when I get done, I guess. Alright. Back to it. Okay. Separate valves shall be provided to turn off all or some irrigation lines, zones during periods of drought, water conservation, or freezing weather temperatures. Irrigation zones containing streets, sidewalks, or alleys must be turned off during freezing temperatures. Detectors. Evapotranspiration controllers are required on all irrigation systems. Water meter. The developer is responsible for installing irrigation water meters. The administrator shall approve all water meter sizes and placement. All water meters shall be easily accessible from the street. Access gate emergency accesses. All private perimeter fencing that creates gated access shall install a Knox security system or other approved access device located at one or more access gates for emergency access by the police or fire department. All private perimeter fencing that creates gated access shall be registered with the police department. HOA responsibilities. All developments that have thoroughfare screening, entry features, or common amenity areas shall be required to have a mandatory homeowners association to own and maintain such features. Okay. Residential privacy fences. Applicability. This section applies to replacement of residential fences or construction of new fences. So this covers everybody. A fence permit is required with more than 25% of the length of the fence is replaced within an 18-month period. Okay, so if a quarter of your fence falls in a storm, you have to get a permit to build it back. Height. Height shall not exceed 8 feet as measured from the highest adjacent grade within 10 feet of the fence. Maximum height of 8 feet includes any entry gates. Fence columns may exceed the height of 8 feet by no more than 3 inches. Fence posts. Fence posts for all residential fences shall be metal. Fence foundation. Refer to infrastructure design standards for required foundation depths, material, etc. Approved materials. Masonry, brick, stone, reinforced cement, concrete, or any other sustainable material as provided by the building official with more than a 30-year life expectancy. Ornamental metal rail fencing. Chemically pre-treated cedar and redwood, composite or engineered plastic lumber fencing, and other wood picket fences only if constructed with metal posts, metal brackets, and metal caps. Chemically pre-treated wooden horizontal member shall be at least 2 inches by 4 inches. Prohibited materials. Chain link, unless replacing or repairing an existing lawfully installed chain link fence. 2. Sheet, roll, or corrugated metal. 3. Cast off, second-hand, or other items not originally intended to be used for constructing or maintaining a fence. And 4. Razor wire or barbed wire. And 5. Slated materials used to create opacity. Slatted materials used to create opacity. Okay. Location of fence. Privacy fences may be located along the property line with the following exceptions. Privacy fences greater than 36 inches in height are not permitted in the front yard of any building except within industrial districts. In the interest of public safety, fences shall not block any sight visibility triangles on any corner lots. All fences must be set back at least 1 foot from the right-of-way and open space lot line unless a stricter setback is required. Any fence that is more than 2 feet high shall be set back at least 5 feet from the side property line of a corner lot. And in the case of a reversed corner lot, any fence that is more than 2 feet high shall be set back at least 7.5 feet from the property line. Installation of parallel fences along a common property or easement line are prohibited. Orientation of fence. When any fence or other screening device, whether required or not, is located on a lot adjacent to a public street, said fence or screening device shall orientate the side with the exposed posts or rails away from view from the adjacent public street. Adjacent to parkland or internal designated open space, the following standards shall apply for all privacy fences where the rear and or side yard shall share a common property line with a dedicated public or private open space or parkland. Height. Height shall not exceed 8 feet as measured from the highest adjacent grade within 10 feet of the fence. Fence columns may exceed 8 feet in height by no more than 3 inches. Approved material. Ornamental metal rail fencing with columns or ornamental metal posts shall be used to provide at least 50% transparency. In the interest of privacy, homeowners may choose to plant vines or shrubs along the fence on their property. Well, thank you. We have permission. Fences and front yard setbacks. Fences and front yard setbacks are prohibited unless otherwise approved in district-specific standards adopted by the City Council. Residential screening of utility equipment. Utility equipment shall be screened from public streets. A combination of trees and shrubs shall be utilized to screen utility equipment from the adjacent residential street. Trees and shrubs shall be planted at a spacing that provides adequate screening from the street. The screen shall be located no closer to the street than the property line. Any requirements concerning sight or visibility, triangles and intersections shall be applicable to the screen where it is intersected by a street or driveway. Why does that fade out? That's weird. I'm checking again. I'm bothered that I did not set that up right. Okay. Landscaping and open space standards. Where are we at now? 139. Okay. Applicability. Landscaping and buffering standards. Open space standards. Purpose. Public open spaces are set aside for the use and enjoyment of a development's residents, employees, or users. Public open space serves numerous purposes, including the preservation of natural areas and resources, ensuring greater resident access to open areas and recreation, reducing the heat island effect, enhancing stormwater quality, providing public health benefits, and providing for the general health and welfare of the citizens of Catoosa. Applicability. All development subject to this article shall set aside the following minimum amounts of land as public open space that meets the standard of this section. For a single-family attached development with more than 5 units, at least 200 square feet per unit. For non-residential mixed-use buildings with a gross floor area greater than 10,000 and up to 500 or 50,000 square feet. 5% of total gross site area. For non-residential and mixed-use buildings with a gross floor area greater than 50,000 square feet, 7% of total gross site area. Open space standards, general. The following shall be credited toward the public open space requirements. A. Natural features. Exclude any of the following: flood hazard and conveyance areas, water features including wetlands and lakes, hillsides and exposed slopes of more than 10%, wildlife habitat areas for threatened and endangered species. 2. Design and maintenance. Requirements for natural features. Where natural feature exists, the developer or owner shall give priority to its preservation and publicly accessible open space. Placement of a conservation easement over the protected natural feature areas is encouraged. In reviewing the proposed location of public open spaces, the administrator shall use all applicable plans, maps, and reports to determine whether significant resources exist on a proposed site that should be protected. Maintenance shall include a minimum removal and avoid of hazards, nuances, and or unhealthy conditions. Active recreational areas include any of the following: mini park, playgrounds, sports complex, ball fields, tennis courts, trails, and pathways. Design and maintenance requirements. In no case shall active recreation constitute more than 25% of the total common open space area within a residential or mixed-use district. Land shall be contiguous unless the land is used to link to an existing or planned open space resource. The site shall be adjacent to At least one street or public access easement. Landscaping shall be planned along all rights-of-way to provide a buffer to surrounding areas. Plazas and neighborhood parks, including any of the following: a neighborhood park, a park, community park, HOA private park, squares, foreclosures, forecourts, or plazas. I said foreclosures. All right, design and maintenance requirements. Where provided, such features shall have a minimum of 400 square feet. Such features shall abut at least one direct access road or public or private. Surrounding buildings shall be oriented toward the square, forecourt, or park. A connection shall be made to surrounding development. The following may not be credited toward the open space requirement: property within the rear yard, vehicular paving, vehicular entry islands, required parking lot tree islands, building footprint, utility yards, or required landscape buffers. Surface requirements. Surface shall be one of the following materials or a combination thereof, unless area is part of an environmental preserve to be maintained in a natural state. 1. Grass, ground cover, plant materials. 2. Quality permeable materials such as decomposed granite or marble. Quality fall cushion surface materials for active play areas. Brick pavers or other typical materials used for open space surfaces as approved by administrator. General design standards for public open space. Oh, I need to yawn real quick. Land set aside for required public open space shall meet the following standards. Location. Where appropriate, open space shall be located to be readily accessible and usable by residents and users of the development. To the maximum practical extent, the open space shall be open to the public view to benefit area developments, enhance the visual character of the city, protect the public safety, and minimize conflict with adjacent land uses. Configuration. The lands dedicated as open space shall be contiguous to each other unless the land is used as a continuation or linked to an existing or planned adjacent open space resource, or where specific natural or topographic features require a different configuration. This does not apply to master plan communities that contain more than one open space to meet the requirements. Where open area... Wait. Oh, no. Hold on. I gotta check something else I just thought of. Okay. I see it. Alright, never mind. I can fix it later. I just keep thinking of the things I gotta check, so... Sorry, I'm stopping. Okay, configuration. The lands dedicated as open space shall be contiguous to each other unless the land is used as a continuation of or linked to an existing or planned adjacent open space resource where specific natural or topographic features require different configuration. This does not apply to master plan communities that contain more than one open space to meet the requirements. Where open areas, trails, parks, or other open spaces resources are planned or exist adjacent to the development, the open space shall, to the maximum extent practical, be located to adjoin, extend, and enlarge the presently existing trail, park, or other open land area. Open area land. Ooh. Orientation of adjacent lots and buildings. Lots and buildings adjacent to the required open space, not including perimeter landscape buffers, shall have at least one entrance facing the open space. Provision in the multi-phase development proposed in phases shall be considered as a single development for the purposes of applying the open space requirements. Open space requirements and improvements shall be phased proportionally with the development phases. Development shall not be phased in such a manner as to place the burden of the majority of the open space provision to the last 25% of the total area completed by the development. Detention or retention ponds. A detention or retention pond may count toward the open space requirement only if it meets two or more of the following: located between the building and the street, viewable from public space or street. Any slope of the pond area does not exceed a 3-to-1 slope. Accessible to the public, not enclosed with a private fence. Detention or retention ponds must include the following amenities to be considered toward open space requirements: seating area or public art connected to and accessible by a minimum 5-foot sidewalk, or aerator fountain in the pond visible from a minimum 5 foot of the sidewalk, and one tree or planter at least 16 square feet from every 2 square feet of open space and be located within or adjacent to the open space. In addition to the landscaping requirements, existing trees that are preserved can count towards this requirement. Does that include if they're the wrong tree? Okay, let's see. I think I'm going to shorten this one because I've messed up on this live so many times. I'm at 41 minutes. I'm comfortable with that. I'm going to try to splice this thing together and fix it. Or at least get it posted correctly. So I'm going to come back and start on Article 7 since it's a whole new section. Article 7 starts on 145. And I'm going to come back later and do this one. So I'm going to make a note. Where's my notes? That's not my notes. That's my notes. Okay. Page, what did I say? Page 145. Okay. Part 8. 145. Okay. So, this article includes all maps. Subdivision regulations of the City of Catoosa and codified as this article. To provide development in accordance with the City of Catoosa Comprehensive Plan, Street Plan, and other adopted policy on promoting health, public safety, and general welfare of the community. Alright. I think Article 7 is a good one to come back to. So, alright. Let me get off here for now. And I will come back later to this. Alrighty. Alright, I will see. I'll get this shared to the group and then I will see everybody later so I can dig into this next section. Till next time.